Hey, what's up, everybody? So in this video, I'm going to be talking about why you can't get a job in equity research or portfolio management. Maybe you've been trying to get interviews, you haven't been getting them. Maybe you've been getting interviews and you just haven't been getting the jobs. So I found that there are generally three things that people are doing wrong when they're in this kind of a situation. So the first thing is you're missing the understanding of how this works from the company's perspective. These are highly coveted positions because to work in equity research or to be a portfolio manager, everybody knows that these are six-figure positions, and eventually a lot of these people, when they make it to the top, they're earning millions of dollars. So it's kind of like everyone wants to work in these fields. But at the same time, very few people will take the opportunity to actually differentiate themselves. And so the result is that all the resumes sound the same, all the analysts sound the same. I mean, you have your kind of top tier people that have worked at a top hedge fund or like were the top in a very prestigious school and got the top grades. Those are the top tier. And then after that, what you get into is everybody kind of sounds the same, and there's not too much differentiation from one to the next. And when you think about it, if you're sitting there in an interview, how are you really going to show that you're that much better at modeling from the next person? Because that's the other thing is like you should have your own models. If you're going to be going up for one of these equity research jobs, if you haven't even modeled like a basic model, and I have examples, right? Like I will give them to you for free, just email me below. But like there's practically no way to show higher order modeling skills or to show superiority there. So what you've got to do is have a personal brand. And I'm going to touch on that a little bit later in the third thing that I discuss here, but do things really differently. Like connect with whoever you're going to interview with on LinkedIn before you go for the interview. Dress with personality, have charisma and have charm, and just do something different in how you interview. The second thing you have to understand is that, and this is such a huge stereotype, but I mean, I myself know this because I used to be on the buy side and I used to work in equity research. Typically, analysts aren't they aren't hired for their warm and fuzzy interpersonal skills. That's, I guess, the nicest way of saying it. Like, I don't want to say that analysts and portfolio managers aren't personable or that they don't have interpersonal skills, because I think that's a stereotype. But just understand that these jobs aren't typically held out as being like having very high requirements for your interpersonal skills. A lot of times the emphasis is on the facts and what it says on paper. These are very fact-driven, data-driven types of positions. And so as a result, you have a lot of people that I think are drawn to this kind of work that maybe don't always make the effort to be personable and communicate really well. Well, the result is that, again, like I said, these are highly coveted positions. Everybody wants them. What can happen in a bad economy, or just what can happen what is going on if you're not getting these jobs or these interviews is that what people are seeing is that you're not the material for them. You're not the kind of person that eventually could become someone that they really invest a lot of responsibility in and who is client facing. Because keep in mind that when you first start out as an analyst, you are entirely a cost. Like, I mean, here in New York, I think the base salary for associate analyst is like $80,000 or something. I mean, that's what it was like 10 years ago when I was at Lehman, I think, or when I was in the business. This is entirely a cost. Like for them to sit there and pay you to do models, they're not making any money off of you other than you just fulfilling some kind of a product requirement. If the company is an investment banker, they're selling equity research, then you're the product. But a lot of time there's duplication in these roles, and like I said, there's also not a lot of differentiation because it's just basic modeling that you were doing at the point. So the problem is that you're entirely a cost, you're sucking up money from the company, and they need to see in you that further along down the line, you'll be able to be a leader at the company, that you'll be able to be the kind of person that eventually gets put in front of the clients and that can help them to gain incremental revenues from the clients. But a lot of times within the analyst curriculum, this is not emphasized at all. The interpersonal element is entirely left out of how we teach analysts how to behave and how to do their jobs. But understand that if you really want to be perceived as valuable to the company, you should definitely emphasize the communication skills and the interpersonal element and the leadership. And this is something that really is not, like I said, it's not very, very common at all. So for example, anytime that they put you anywhere near a client, show that you're the kind of person that can handle that responsibility. You should be rehearsed, you should be dressed well, you should be prepared to answer their questions. You should be friendly and warm to them. You should follow up with them. You should always make a good impression on anybody outside of the firm, and also like anybody within the firm as well, because word does get along, and those are really the first clients, so to speak, that you will have. So the portfolio manager that you're working for, if you're a portfolio management associate, the hedge fund manager that you work for, like, show that you are an excellent communicator, that you have great listening skills, that you take notes when they talk, that you don't interrupt them, that you're not arrogant, that you don't want to push over their ideas and put your own in there, right? All of this. And then the third thing is, this is going to relate to number one. Remember that these are highly coveted positions. The third thing is, if you're not having success in equity research or portfolio management career search, I would say that what you should do is understand that general analysts are very common, but people with specialties are not. And again, this has a lot to do with how people are taught to be analysts. But for example, like when I was on the buy side, I had a very quirky little niche. It was the shipping industry, because that was the point at which like the economy was really very robust and like import export trade, everything. And so I knew all the shipping companies, and I knew like the economic forecasts and the variables that impacted those companies and all of that. And it was this like quirky little niche, but I knew a lot about it. And so did I ever go and work as a shipping analyst? No, but it was really helpful, because at least when I went for an interview, instead of just saying like, yeah, I'm a great analyst, I can model this or that, it was like my game was so much higher when I could talk about something I really knew well. And so I never really got hired into like a specific role covering shipping companies, but they could look at me and they could say, she knows her stuff. She understands how to cover an industry. She understands how to do comparables comparison from one company to the next. She understands that specific ratios apply to certain types of companies and then others don't. And she knows how to interpret an analyst conference call in this industry, and she's been through the schedule of like, here's when their earnings releases are, this and that. They could like see me operating at a very high level of expertise because I had somewhat of a specialization. So I would just say, like, if you're not having luck with equity research or portfolio management job search, like pick a quirky little niche and then just go full in. Like I said, you may not actually get hired in that niche, but it's going to up your game and make you appear so much better, I think, than just a generalist, regardless. So anyways, I would love for all of you to follow me here on my channel. Please just click subscribe. And, also, like, if you want to check out some of the other videos in this playlist, there's an awful lot. And, I'm not an analyst anymore. I focus on financial marketing, but I just, like, a very long time ago was in all of your shoes. And so I'm making these videos to be motivational, and hopefully that they've helped you. And I sincerely mean that I really was in the position very long time ago where I had a lot of questions about this stuff. So I hope that this has at least been helpful. And if it was, I would love to have you here with me for the next ones. So thank you for watching, everybody.